One market that every XRP holder is aware of is the derivatives market. This is a market that everyone has been waiting to just have on chain because of the value that it brings with it. Now, in this video, I specifically want to talk about all of the connections that Ripple and XRP both have back to the derivatives market and what it could actually mean for the price of XRP. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So first and foremost, I want to start off with a recent announcement that was, of course, the CME Group to launch XRP futures trading on May 19th of this year. Now, this is big because on the topic of derivatives, the CME Group is a leading derivatives marketplace. In fact, they are the world's leading derivatives marketplace. And what's interesting about them is that it's not just XRP that is going to be added to their platform for futures trading. They also have Solana and I believe HBAR tied back to the CME Group. So this is actually very exciting to see. And it's showing us that these big players that are very well giants, if you want to really kind of name them that, in the TradFi world, they're aware of how big the crypto space will be. They're, aware of how big some of these utility giants will be like XRP as well, and they want a piece of the pie. Now, when I think about some of these names, I also think about what they recently announced. And if we go back to March, we know that there was a huge announcement with CME Group and Google Cloud, where we have Justin, derivatives trading giant CME Group, teams up with US tech giant Google Cloud to test tokenization later this year, with plans to launch services in 2026. But these are the types of announcements that I think everyone should pay attention to, because even though it doesn't mention, what platform they're using or what DLT specifically, even if it doesn't mention XRP, the thing that I want you guys to understand is this is money and value that will touch this space. It doesn't even have to touch XRP. This is one of the biggest misconceptions, right? Like, for an example, if there was an announcement like around Bitcoin, and I really utilize the ETF, craze as a perfect example of this. Back in January of 2024, the ETFs went live for Bitcoin. And what was good for Bitcoin was very good for the entire space. The same goes with this, right? If we are going to see hundreds of trillions of dollars to even quadrillions of dollars flooding on chain, not all at once, but over time, that's very beneficial for the entire crypto space. And I do think that, there's going to be more and more of these announcements. We even, know that the DTCC, for an example, on April 2nd announced that they were going to launch a tokenized collateral platform. And the DTCC is an absolute massive name. I mean, if you know about derivatives and if you know about the securities transactions, then you already know how much money the DTCC is moving. But if you don't know, well, let's take a quick look, because on the 24th, just recently, we got an update on the fact that the DTCC processed a record volume across services amid market volatility. This was on April 9th. They hit a new peak of $5.55 trillion in one single day. Now, this is where things get interesting, because we now have updated amounts on how much the DTCC is moving every single year. In 2024, DTCC subsidiaries processed securities transactions valued at $3.7 quadrillion. This is insane. This is a massive amount of money, and it's an amount of money that a lot of people actually don't even realize is out there. So this is why we focus on derivatives. In fact, I made a post going all the way back to 2023. And I did say, if you take a second to think about the power behind tokenization, you could understand the value that will hit this market. $300+ trillion in real estate, $100+ trillion in equities, $300+ trillion in debt market, $600 trillion to $1.2 quadrillion for derivatives, securities financing, repurchase $4 trillion, securities lending $2.9 trillion. Like, when we're thinking about how much money is set to flow through this space, It doesn't matter if they're using just XRP or if they're using Ethereum or if they're using this network, that network. The amounts of money that is going to be, bridged between all of these networks in this space, because it's going to be a multi-chain future. The amount of money that's going to be processed through this entire space will affect every single legitimate utility-based project. This is why we focus on what these names are doing. And every single one of them, from the CME Group to the DTCC to the BIS to the IMF, every global organization, every massive giant around money is talking about tokenization. And even the ISDA back in 2023 announced digital asset standards. This is a derivatives industry body, the same industry body that Ripple became a part of also back in 2023. And the names that are tied back to the ISDA include like BlackRock, JP Morgan, Citi. You could, any bank out there, name their name, they're probably a part of the ISDA. Now, a lot of people are immediately saying, well, this positions XRP to, facilitate $1.2 quadrillion. No, don't get too far ahead of yourselves. What's good about this is that, yes, it does put Ripple on the map. And yes, this also does create, a bridge to the derivatives market. This is very beneficial for Ripple and XRP, but we have no announcement just yet around derivatives with the ISDA with the XRP ledger. But one thing that we do know is that the ISDA, through their legal guidelines for smart derivatives contracts, did outline the fact that derivatives are fertile territory for the application of smart contracts and distributed ledger technology because their main payments and deliveries are heavily dependent on conditional logic. However, these technologies are at a relatively early stage of development, and there is still a lack of agreement on what smart contracts, what a smart contract is, what role these technologies can play in the derivatives market, and how these technologies might interact with existing legal standards and documentation. Now, we do know that DLT can help with many things. The biggest thing about derivatives is the lack of transparency. There's absolutely zero transparency around the derivatives market. That's why they don't actually understand how much money is tied to it. On top of that, it's still plagued with the same inefficiencies as traditional financial payments or cross-border payments. So again, I still think that there is a massive use case here for DLT. And on top of that, we also have over here from the ISDA where they outlined the interaction between different agreements where you have DLTs tapped in on the bottom with nodes, oracles, and even participants. This is, how they bridge both sides from like the TradFi side and even like the DeFi side, if you will. But again, you could see that some of these these are massive names. Like the ISDA is one of the biggest names around derivatives because this is a standard body behind it. Which leads me to my next area of conversation. Where does Ripple really kind of play a role here? Because we know that Ripple is a part of the ISDA. That's great news. But what else is Ripple kind of doing here? Well, let's go back in time a little bit to the Robinhood and Bitstamp news. Jungle Inc. recently made a post on X, and this was on April 20th. We have Bitstamp and Robinhood are wiring a full-scale crypto derivatives exchange straight onto the XRP ledger. And yes, they are doing this. Global crypto derivatives already clear 4.8 trillion a month. That's 70% of all digital asset volume. Snagging just 1% of that flow equals 1 to 2 billion in trades every single day, funneled through the XRP ledger in seconds. Every contract settles on chain, burning XRP dust, deepening liquidity, and opening 24/7 leverage to 15 million plus Robinhood users. The traditional derivatives arena may be 700 trillion, but even this small crypto slice can 10 to 20x the XRP ledger activity overnight and mint a new revenue engine for both platforms. Watch the launch window. This could be the moment XRP ledger steps onto Wall Street's main stage. Now, if we're thinking about this, right? I have always talked about the multiple, behind price, right? You will see when it comes to activity and volume and value moving over the XRP ledger, you will see the price multiples. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're always thinking about like, all right, well, what if XRP 10x from here. The thing about that, okay, is that with volume moving over the ledger, if we start to see massive amounts of volume, we're talking about just 1% of some of these, markets. In this case, crypto derivatives, right? If we start to see a massive amount of XRP burnt, the supply, lower and lower and lower, the demand rising, we will see the price of XRP multiply by 3, 4, 5, 10x in a very short amount of time. Now, this is a hypothetical situation right now because this is not happening currently, but what we are starting to see is this become a reality because we know that Bitstamp and Robinhood have this plan already in place. We know that Robinhood is a massive name. We know that Bitstamp is a massive name. We know that back in September of last year, they did put out a video, Bitstamp, built on the XRP Ledger series, episode 10. Anderson posted this. We are launching our own derivatives exchange in the next few months. So that's something we are most excited about and really hope to cooperate closely with Ripple there as well. This is Eva from Bitstamp. Here's the actual video clip. Check it out.
We're launching our own derivatives exchange in the next few months. So that's something we are most excited about and really hope to cooperate closely with Ripple there as well.
So yeah, this is something that's on its way. We have yet to actually see this announced, and I do believe that it's because of the acquisition from Robinhood, because Robinhood actually agreed to acquire crypto exchange Bitstamp in a $200 million deal that's set to close in the first half of 2025. Again, we're already in the first half. We don't know when this is going to actually happen, but we have Bitstamp in collaboration with Ripple will launch their own digital derivatives exchange built entirely on the XRP ledger. This new venture has the potential to greatly accelerate crypto expansion worldwide. Check it out.
A business or an institutional investor, they also want access to the things we offer. They want 24-hour access to the equity markets, they want industry-leading margin rates, a great customer experience. So over time, I do think you'll see us branching more out into serving other types of customers, not just retail, but also businesses and institutions. And to that end, we announced an acquisition of Bitstamp, a global crypto exchange. One of the things that's very attractive about that business is that it's not just international, but also institutional. It gets us access to an entirely new customer base that we're not directly serving today. I think we can do more and more of that over the next 10 years.
We are launching our own derivatives exchange in the next few months, so that's something we are most excited about and really hope to cooperate closely with Ripple there as well. In final stage of integration of really some top 30 commercial banks globally on Bitstamp as a service. So these commercial banks will offer crypto through Bitstamp. So that's definitely something we are very proud of.
So yeah, this is something that I have been waiting for a while. We have yet to actually see it announced, but I do think that we're getting closer with this because of the Hidden Road acquisition. Okay. We know that the Hidden Road acquisition includes FX and precious metals markets, digital assets, exchanges, and OTC, synthetics, OTC swaps for FX, equities, commodities, digital assets, energy, and rates via Route 28. But then we also have financing. Hidden Road offers clients derivatives margin financing and digital assets margin financing as well. Hidden Road covers all of these big markets. And for those wondering, we already got confirmation from a Ripple employee regarding how all of this will be traded. We have Ripple's XRP ledger to manage Hidden Road's post trades. We'll use RLUSD as collateral. The XRP ledger will be used as post trade for all of Hidden Road's prime brokerage services, Ripple's managing director said. Check it out.
We'll use RLUSD as collateral. Then that's essentially enabling the bridging of the digital asset space to TradFi, which is extremely exciting. Also, the XRP ledger will be used as a post-trade for all of Hidden Road's prime brokerage services. We also see that this captive audience of 300 institutional customers is a really interesting portfolio of customers that will and do need digital asset infrastructure, which these customers will be able to take advantage of our payment and custody solutions as well. We'll use
So yeah, 300 institutional players all lined up, ready to utilize the XRP ledger. This is where we start to see a major shift for XRP into overdrive. And I'm talking about price multiples becoming a reality. I'm talking about the supply of XRP diminishing greatly once we start to see the value pouring in. This is something that I think everyone should keep a close eye on. If you hold XRP, this is probably one of the most important announcements that we have been waiting for. Hidden Road will, keep us, steady for a bit of time, but I'm still waiting for the Bitstamp and Robinhood announcement to go live. It's still in place. We're still waiting for it. The acquisition did not go through just yet, but I suspect that it's coming soon. And we already know that Robinhood wants to go all in on 24/7 trading around stock markets as well. And they want to do this through DLT. And they have been talking about tokenization greatly over the last few months because they are aware of how much value, how much volume, and how much money there will be tied back to tokenization. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.